Well, hello again, Grace Baptist. We're now at Wednesday of the Passion Week, and of all the days during this week, this is probably the one that is the most quiet. As we have noted, Palm Sunday with the triumphal entry, a very bold and public display of Jesus' kingship. Monday with the cleansing of the temple, another bold and public event where Christ attempts to make sure that his Father's house will be a house of prayer for all the nations. And then Tuesday, where he's publicly teaching and speaking with the religious leaders in the temple. Wednesday, there is more teaching in the temple. It seems to be a daily occurrence that Jesus is traveling between Bethany and Jerusalem each day. But not much goes on this day that we know of in Scripture. And yet in Matthew's Gospel, as well in the Gospel of Mark, there is a private meeting that we're told about. In Matthew chapter 26, starting to read at verse 3. So then the chief priests and the elders of the people gathered in the palace of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas, and plotted together in order to arrest Jesus by stealth and kill him. But they said, not during the feast, lest there be an uproar among the people. The wheels are now in motion. Jesus is going to be killed according to the will of the religious leaders at the time. This was probably not a full gathering of the members of the Sanhedrin, but certainly an elite group. They meet at Caiaphas' house, and if you recall in John's Gospel, in John chapter 11, after the raising of Lazarus from the dead, Caiaphas actually utters a prophecy, although at the time he did not know it was such. In verse 49 it says, "But one of them, Caiaphas, who was high priest that year, said to them, 'You know nothing at all, nor do you understand that it is better for you that one man should die for the people, not that the whole nation should perish.' He did not say this of his own accord, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the nation, and not for the nation only, but also to gather into one the children of God who are scattered abroad. So from that day on they made plans to put him to death." This plot has been in place for quite some time, but perhaps here on the Wednesday they gather once again. Timing is important. The Passover is going to be eaten on Thursday evening, so this will be on the second day after this, or the day after this, which is Thursday, and thus begins the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Begins on the 14th of Nisan according to Jewish reckoning, and ends on the 21st of Nisan. Will correspond to our Easter time, which is late March and early April. They want to wait then until after this whole festival is done. Most of the pilgrims have gone, and then under stealth, in quietness, they can find Jesus, arrest him, and do away with him. And yet, of course, God has other plans. And so immediately after the eating of the Passover, which is on the Thursday, then that very next day, Jesus is sacrificed as the Paschal Lamb. As there was a lamb sacrificed in order to eat the Passover meal in commemoration of what happened with the lamb being sacrificed all the way back and the deliverance of Israel from Egypt. So Jesus is the true Passover lamb, as he tells his disciples. This plot takes place then on Wednesday. The die is cast, and we know that these individuals here want Jesus dead. What a sad state of affairs, that those that should have been leading the people to Jesus are the ones that are trying to keep the people away from him, and in order to do that in what they feel is a permanent way, they believe, to kill him. How sad it is that there are really only two options when it comes to Jesus: belief and trust in him, and that leads to life, or disbelief, distrust, denial of him, and that always leads to death and destruction. This being Wednesday, we also want to give an update to you of some things that we want to bring to your attention. First of all, this evening at 7 p.m., Pastor Dan and I will be doing a Facebook Live event from the foyer of the church, where we will gather and pray, lead in some scriptures as we look at different aspects of things that we want to pray for. We hope that you will join us on Facebook Live, and during that time period, you can certainly comment on that Facebook post. You can even send perhaps in some prayer requests or some items. And at the end of that time, together, we will try to address some of those comments. If you have any questions, you can certainly address them also to us at that time. I want to lead the church in prayer then this evening starting at 7 p.m. Then this Friday is Good Friday. And so whatever that event looks like, we are going to have something posted for you, either live or pre-recorded, Friday morning at 9 a.m. and looking forward to again singing praises to God, hearing from His Word, praying to Him, and rejoicing in the burial, or the crucifixion and the burial of Jesus Christ. Not an event that is, we would think, to be celebrated, but certainly because we know the result, which is the resurrection. We want to gather and have this time on Friday morning at 9 a.m. We would also encourage you, if you haven't done so already, using the hashtag #JesusChangedMyLife, to post a video, just a short video, 3 to 5 minutes, of how Jesus has changed your life. In this time of uncertainty and instability, we want to use this and use our social media platforms as ways to reach out and let people know that Jesus is the answer, Jesus is our security and our hope, and so we want to use whatever means we have to let our friends and family and neighbors know that in this time of uncertainty, there is a God who is certain of all things because He has all things under His control and has set all things according to His plan. There is one that they can trust, one that they can turn to in these times that are certainly frightening. And so we hope that you take advantage of that. As always, pray, encourage, reach out to one another, and continue to give. Thank you, Grace Baptist, and we look forward to checking in tomorrow for our daily devotional as we look at Thursday of the most important week of the most important person who ever lived.